You ever had a gun pointed at you while holding your grandma's rocking chair? Because I did. That's how I found out my new neighbor was insane and maybe dangerous. Cops yelling, hands shaking, my dog barking like crazy, and all I was doing was moving into a ranch I legally bought, fully paid for, with papers still warm from the printer. Name's Riley Monroe. Used to be an ER nurse in San Antonio. 11 years of blood, sirens, and double shifts that turned me into a caffeine-fueled zombie. I'd saved up every bonus, worked holidays, even picked up night shifts just to scrape together enough for a slice of quiet. Something real. So when I found a listing for a ranch house, 14 acres, white porch, green trim, I jumped on it. Silver Pines Reserve. Sounded peaceful. Sounded perfect. First time I drove out, I saw her. Cynthia Whitmore, standing like a gargoyle at the edge of her lawn, pruning roses like they owed her money. Platinum ponytail, mirrored sunglasses, lips tighter than the Tupperware in my mom's fridge. "Can I help you?" she barked. Not high, not welcome, just attitude. I smiled, said I was here for a private showing. She just narrowed her eyes like she smelled something off. Whatever. I toured the house, felt the creaky floorboards and old soul of the place. It wasn't perfect, but it felt like mine. I made the offer the next day, signed the papers 3 weeks later, and cried happy tears in the U-Haul parking lot. Even bought my dog Cooper a tiny rancher hat on Etsy. That's how committed I was. Move-in day, I got there early. Coffee in hand, truck loaded, sun blazing. And guess who was already standing in her yard at 8 a.m. sharp, arms crossed like she'd been rehearsing? Yep, Cynthia. I waved. She didn't. I didn't have time to deal. I started hauling stuff. My granddad's record player, nursing books, and then the rocking chair from Grandma's attic. That's when I noticed her again. On the edge of my property, phone in hand, eyes locked on me like a hawk. Then I heard it. "Yes, officer. She's stealing furniture from the vacant house." No, I've never seen her before. At first I laughed, like she was making some twisted joke. But 10 minutes later, 2 sheriff cruisers pulled in fast, sirens silent, dust flying. And before I could even put the chair down, one of them yelled, "Step away from the vehicle or I will place you under arrest." I froze. "Officer, I live here. I just closed on this property." "Ma'am, I need to see ID. Put the item down." I looked over at Cynthia. She was smiling, like she'd caught a criminal, like this was some HOA-themed reality show, and she was the star. And just as I reached for my back pocket, Cooper jumped through the open truck window, ran toward me. "Dogs loose!" someone shouted. Guns unholstered. My knees buckled. My breath caught. For a second, I thought my dog might die because I bought the wrong house in the wrong neighborhood. That should have been the end. But of course, it wasn't. My realtor, Trevor, showed up mid-chaos, pale and sweating. "Something's off," he told the officers. "Cynthia isn't even on the HOA board anymore. She got kicked off for some garden poisoning thing." Cynthia's face turned red. That was never proven. Trevor had documents, title transfer, escrow confirmation, the whole deal. The sheriff reviewed it, nodded slowly, then told me, "You're cleared. I'm sorry for the misunderstanding." I wanted to scream. My hands were still shaking. "My dog could have been shot," I whispered. All because she didn't like how I looked? Cynthia just muttered, "She doesn't belong here," and walked off. I thought that was the worst of it, until the envelope showed up. No stamp, no return address, just a typed notice claiming I violated HOA code 14.2b for having unapproved flowers. "Consider this a warning," it said in blue ink. Funny thing, that code was repealed in 2021. I checked. So I emailed the current HOA president, Joel Rivers. His reply came quick. "That notice was not issued by us." So she was faking official documents now. Harassment, plain and simple. But it didn't stop there. One morning, I found my flower beds stomped flat, torn apart like someone had danced on them in cleats. And on my porch, another envelope. This time it was a Polaroid of me kneeling in the yard, planting those very flowers. On the back, "We're watching." That's when I knew. This wasn't just pettiness, this was obsession. I installed cameras, high def, night vision, motion sensors. 2 nights passed. Nothing. On the third, 2:17 a.m., my barn cam caught movement. A figure stomping the flower bed, face caught for just a second. Cynthia. Hoodie, no makeup, rage in her eyes. I sent everything to Joel and the sheriff's department. That led to an emergency HOA meeting. Cynthia acted calm, like butter wouldn't melt in her mouth. But when Joel showed the footage, gasps filled the room. "Cynthia Whitmore," Joel said, "do you have anything to say?" She smiled, pulled out a folder and said, "Actually, I do. I have a legal claim on that ranch." I blinked. "A what?" She explained her great-uncle once owned part of the original land the barn sits on. Claimed she filed an affidavit asserting partial ownership. The room went silent. She was trying to use some dusty deed from 50 years ago to stake a claim. Joel shut it down, said the claim had no bearing on HOA votes. And then they voted. Cynthia was banned from HOA meetings, officially. 4 votes to 1. But she wasn't done. A few nights later, I caught a man on my porch, hoodie, gas can, lighter in hand. He didn't start the fire. Cooper's barking scared him off. But I chased him and saw just enough of his face to recognize him the next day, when he answered the door 2 houses down. His name? Ethan Whitmore, Cynthia's son. Property management logo on his mug. The same guy from my yard with a gas can. And suddenly, it all made sense. The surveillance, the sabotage, the fake notices. It was a mother-son operation. I called Melissa Hargrove, my new lawyer. Pit bull in heels. She drafted cease and desist letters, filed restraining orders, and prepared a harassment case. That should have slowed them down. But 3 days later, I found tire tracks near my barn and an empty gas can, still dripping. The sheriff said it looked like prep for arson. Asked if I had cameras out back. I didn't. I do now? Melissa called later. "Cynthia tried filing for an injunction. Says you illegally built the barn. It's 100 years old," I snapped. "She knows. She's just trying to bury you in paperwork." Then came the night Cooper saved us again. I was dozing when he started barking wild. I ran to the porch, and there she was, Cynthia, standing near the barn, match in hand, soaked rag dripping diesel. She saw my headlights and froze. Dropped the cloth. Took off running. Sheriff showed up 5 minutes later. Filed charges. Attempted arson, harassment, trespassing. They arrested her the next day. Neighbors watched in silence as she screamed, "This is our land. She doesn't belong here." But this time, nobody believed her. 2 weeks later, HOA passed a bylaw. Anyone with a criminal record for property-related crimes is banned for life. Cynthia's name vanished from the board. Ethan left town. Rumor says he headed north. Melissa finalized the restraining order. The zoning board cleared my records. But the scars? Those'll take longer. I still walk the land sometimes. Cooper by my side. Porch light always on. Cameras rolling. Because now I know, sometimes evil doesn't wear a mask. Sometimes it has a smile, a clipboard, and lives across the street. And if you're not careful, it tries to burn your whole world down just to stay in control. So who was really in the wrong here?